Okay.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to week 8 out of 12 of Rapid Implementation 37. So 75% of the way through, and we will start as always. Did anybody have any wins for the week? You're muted, Scott. Still muted.
Mute.
There you go.
You're on. Oh, Scott, unmute.
Sorry, guys.
There you go.
My apologies. Mark had an urgent call. Just came in, but it's on hold. What's happening?
Oh, I thought I was asking if everybody had any wins for the week.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. My apologies. The email's down and my bank account's locked up, so trying to get some important stuff. Yeah, man. And Chase is on hold crazy, but sorry. Drama aside. Good stuff. We had 18,900 in new MRC signed this week, so really excited for that.
Cool. Good. Anybody else with some wins?
Well, yeah, I had a couple wins. Oh, go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, just lots of small ones, mostly small projects, additions to MRR, different security services our clients are wanting to add on. No new clients, but little bits here and there, and it's definitely keeping us busy.
Cool.
Yeah, I had a couple wins this week, actually. I've been popping into the various local networking groups that have started putting on virtual versions of it, and had some one-to-ones with a few of them, and ran into an accountant who has like 35 clients all trying to figure out how to get their QuickBooks desktop servers accessible by all of their remote workers. So she's going to bring me in to help kind of facilitate that with them. And then also out of those groups, I managed to sell 3 or 4 VoIP phone systems.
Cool. Well done. Anybody else with some wins? These are good wins, though.
Hey, this is Emily. We have picked up a few new things that were with existing clients where we've expanded some services. But mainly we've been getting some new clients, unfortunately, because they've reached out because they've been hit with ransomware. So we're doing a lot of remediation work right now.
Okay. Good to hear. Anybody else with some wins?
Sorry, I came in a few minutes late. Mark, did you share anything? Mark Martino? Okay, so we got our website live this week.
Cool.
Yeah, finally. We got it.
Good. Yeah, and I've checked, and you've checked the box as well, so that's great. Well done. Now you can really start power marketing. So cool. That's a good thing to get going. Anybody else with some wins?
Well, that one actually reminded me, I don't know if it's necessarily a win, but I was happy for it. We just completed our SEO plan that we'd gotten back from you guys. So we put that in, and I was happy. I wasn't even close to the top, but I finally showed up on the first page when searching here locally, so I was thrilled with that.
Good. Well done. Anybody else? Yeah, we've got a good few wins going on. So keep going, everybody. Keep plugging at it. There's a few people, though, that I noticed over the past 8 weeks have not shared a single win. So I'm concerned, to say the least, that these people are struggling somehow. So please remember to reach out to us if you're having problems and issues. Okay. Next on my checklist is our usual housekeeping. I'm going to share my screen, and 90-day contest is Friday, May the 22nd at 5 o'clock Central. might seem a long way off, but trust me, with all this chaos going on, it's going to sneak up on you. And you need to be doing the 90-day checklist. Now more than ever is when you need to be doubling down on your marketing, okay? So I know you've got 10 million other things going on, you know, with all the crisis and getting your clients taken care of, etc. But you need to keep marketing now more than ever, because we're going to go into a recession and you are going to lose some clients. No fault of your own. They are just going to close shop or cut right back. So if you're going to be losing some clients, you need to replace them quickly. And so you need to do some marketing to do that. So that's why we need you to get going on everything. That's why we put you into an accountability group earlier, rather than wait until the end of the course as normal, so that we can get you the help you need now. So please start doing all these things. I'm going to quickly look at the 90-day checklist. Got the SEO plan, shock and awe box. So even we have stopped the shock and awe box as of this week. But use the online shock and awe. So we're using online shock and awe for the next few weeks while we do it. So use the online shock and awe. Everybody should be able to get that online shock and awe up very quickly compared to getting the shock and awe box done. So get that going and you can check that one off, okay? Don't forget though, when we get through all this, to keep working on your physical shock and awe box at some point in time. But for now, because most of your meetings are going to be done remotely over Zoom, etc., you need to still be sending the shock and awe box. So the online shock and awe is the best way to do that. Answering phones live, you should be answering your phones live. It's now more than ever. You know, if you're not answering your phones live, you're losing all these opportunities of people that are, you know, trying to get help at the moment. And, you know, as Brian was just saying, got himself onto the first page of Google. So if you're on that first page of Google and they're going to be calling everybody on that page, then you better be answering your phones live, otherwise you're missing opportunities again. Prospecting campaign. We should be doing some type of prospecting campaign. We gave you 3 choices with the prospecting campaign. Choice number 1 was carry on doing the aspirin. Choice number 2 was the new Worry Doll COVID campaign, and Jeanette's on the call. She will be talking to you in a minute about that, and the Infusionsoft version of that is now released. And so we've got the Worry Doll COVID campaign. We've got the other campaign, excuse me, the aspirin campaign, or you can do weekly webinars, you know, JV webinars, but it needs to be weekly. This is a weekly prospecting that we're doing. So you need to be doing stuff weekly, okay? So that needs to be done. Online marketing checklist. We've been through that. You should all have that checked off. Rob and I's website live. Mark and Marcy have got theirs going, and so do a few other people, but there's still a lot of you haven't got your website live. You can get your web people or start working with Pronto or Vertical or whoever you're using to get that live as quickly as possible. Tech Tip newsletter, Tech Tip postcard, and online drip campaigns, I am going to go through in a minute. 12-month marketing plan is next week. Quarterly marketing plan is the week after that, or 2 weeks? 2 weeks after that. Referral reward program, you should be doing that now, okay? Now more than ever, we need the referral reward program on the go as well. So make sure you get these going. Some people are starting to make some good progress. Other people are doing 0 on here, and you need to be doing something, okay? We need to get going, and it's sort of the ones that I was saying earlier that are the quiet ones on the calls and no wins are the ones that are also not getting anything done. You know, Mark, Jay, Jeff, you've only got 1, so quite a few of you have not got started on some of these, and honestly, I can't stress it enough. We've been through this before. I've been through the recession before. We've been through disasters before, and you have to double down on the marketing, not ease back. Okay, don't get sidetracked back into the tech side of things. Start looking at getting people to help you in your team, getting these things going, reaching out to you. Should have all now reached out to all your clients. Your clients should all be taken care of by now. We've had a good few weeks to do this. You should just be tying up some loose ends, trying to get hold of some hardware that, you know, there was a shortage of hardware, those type of things. But you should be able to have taken care of your clients now. Now you can get back in and start the marketing, okay? You're going to need to, because if you pause, you're going to really struggle in the next few weeks when everybody starts coming out of this. For those of you that work out, go to the gym, etc., you know that if you take a week off because you're sick or whatever, it takes you 3 weeks to get back into where you were when you left off, okay? It's the same with marketing. If you stop for a week or 2 weeks, it'll take you 3 times as long to get back into it. And then there's the lead time, and then there's the different messages. We've also got to start thinking about our slightly different messages and what our plans are. You've got to start thinking now of what your plans and packages are going to be to get people out of this into the recovery, okay? Because it's not going to be the same as just selling a managed service deal, okay? Your message is going to be slightly different because they've got different needs, okay? So you've got to start thinking what that plan looks like, what that package looks like. What's it like for customers that are on your all-you-can-eat plan? What's it like for your clients that are on a partial plan? What's it like for prospects, etc.? What's it like for referrals? All those different things you're going to have to think about and plan now, so that when it comes to it, you're already good. I was going to say, does anybody have any questions? But Dan has raised one. He says, does anybody have a good job description for a marketing person? We need help. So normally, when we cover the marketing stuff, we say the great idea is to get a stay-at-home mom. There's about 200 million of them at the moment. So you've got quite a good choice from that. But to answer your question, Dan, under my products, okay, you should see the appointment generating Miracle 2.0. Watch those 2 sessions. You should have done that for the homework. I think it's under session 2 is the appointment setter. There's the salary and boat hiring questions, inside salesperson job description, scorecard, interview, tracking, everything on this. We did cover it. Go back and watch the week, what was it, week 5, Debbie, week 6, where we covered this. I've lost, because we changed the week numbers around, I've lost track which week it was. It was the week after the aspirin campaign.
Week 7.
Week
Or
7.
no, that's what we're on now.
No, we're not. We're on week 8. It was last week, week 7, sales team.
Time flies.
It was only last week, Dan, and you've forgotten already. So there you go. It was last week's, but that's where it's under the appointment generated Miracle 2.0. Everything's in there for you to do all that hiring, etc. for those sales team. And I'm glad to see that you're hiring a marketing person. I would recommend.
You probably gave me the idea, and I just didn't think about it. So
yeah.
It sunk in late after the meeting.
Hey, better late than never. That's what I say. You know, so yeah. I was going to recommend that people start thinking about hiring a part-time marketing assistant to get this going out the door. Make sure that it doesn't ease up, even if you're sidetracked with taking care of customers or tech stuff. At least the marketing doesn't ease up on this. Okay. And then one more quick announcement. I am waiting, and I'm sorry to name names. I don't mean to embarrass anyone, but I am waiting on Dee Dee or Preston or one of you guys from your company to send me the your revenue bucket so I can get you into a group. You're the only ones that I don't have in a group at the moment. I've been trying for a few weeks to get you to answer. So if you wouldn't mind, I did send an email out to you guys again yesterday. If you can just reply with that bucket, I can get you into a group with an accelerators coach to help you through all this. Everybody else is in a group already. Are you all enjoying your groups? Yeah. Helpful?
Amazing.
Cool. I like that word, Brian. Okay, anybody got any questions at all on the 90-day checklist, groups, anything at all that's going on? Okay, remember the, just use this one, under the home menu, we got the COVID-19 survival resources. We have an awesome seminar coming up, a webinar with Greg Crabtree. Greg spoke at boot camp last year. He's speaking at boot camp this year. He's been working with a small group of our Producers Club members for the past year. In fact, we have another full day with him tomorrow, where he's working with those people. Great insights. He's going to help you, not just with the PPP and the SBA stuff, which he's been giving us lots of advice, but just managing your business in general by the numbers. Great information. So strongly recommend that you're on that webinar. And if you really can't make it for whatever reason, plan to spend a good hour or so this weekend watching the recording, because Debbie will post the recording as soon as it's ready. But I would strongly recommend that you're on that session. And don't forget the resources. We've got all these resources. Chris Voss one, hopefully you saw the Chris Voss one. I know a number of people that negotiated some tough negotiations within an hour after watching this using his techniques. They actually had appointments lined up. I was talking to somebody on Monday, who had a one-on-one with me, and he said, literally, I had an appointment an hour later, and I used those techniques, and it worked really well. So make sure you go back and watch that one. We had Andy Bailey, Petrocoach, Scaling Up. So really great webinar. We got some great ones with Robin. We've got Jeanette and Allison on the Map Infusionsoft stuff, and a whole load of e-newsletters and more marketing that you can do. I'll briefly touch on those, the drip marketing side of things, in a second when I go through this. So questions, anybody at all? None at all? Jeanette, I am going to stop sharing and hand over to you so you can give a quick Infusionsoft update. Oh, I might have to do the permissions again, do I?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to stop in and give a couple of updates to our MAP Infusionsoft members. Our team has been very busy working to automate and help make it easier for you to get these marketing pieces out. So I do have a couple of new campaigns that are ready and available to you at no charge. They are complimentary. And if you would like any of these campaigns today, just email Infusionsoft at Technology Marketing Toolkit. Tell them the names of the campaigns you'd like, and we'll get them into your account as soon as possible. Usually it takes 1 to 2 days for us to process requests, but we've been luckily been able to get some done same day. So let us know as soon as possible and we'll get those requests to you. So I want to show you again here on this COVID-19 survival resources page. If you go to the resources tab, there is that page Mark pointed out here for our MAP Infusionsoft webinar. This is the hub where we're updating with all of the campaigns that we have available to you. We do have additional ones that we didn't cover in the webinar, but we're constantly looking at the marketing pieces that are available and getting them automated for you. So this is where you can go and you can click on the link to see details about each campaign. You can see the blueprint and launch step instructions, all that good stuff. So this is where you will come and just keep checking back to see what we have available next. So the first campaign that I'd like to talk about is our work from home consult campaign. This is actually a sales offer campaign. So it's a sales campaign that leads into the sales pipeline. some of our members were asking with these blog posts, they're getting the blog post set up, and there's this web form here for people to request this work from home consultation. And they're wondering, well, where is this web form in Infusionsoft? So we created this new campaign. So when people come to this blog post, they can fill out this web form and it will add them to the new campaign. And again, it's called the Work from Home Consult campaign. We also have a landing page for this campaign that you could share on social media for people to opt in as well. So the way that this campaign works is that someone will opt in, again, on your blog post page or on the landing page. And if they don't self-schedule that consult with you by using your calendar widget that's on your thank you page, we have a series of emails that will go out pushing them to schedule. It will contain the link to your appointment core booking link or any other scheduling software that you're using. We've also included a phone call follow-up task that will show up on a widget as well. As soon as somebody schedules the consult, this campaign will stop and they will be added into the sales pipeline. So it works right alongside your sales pipeline campaign. And we also have reasons to exit them if they're a hot lead, if they're not qualified, if there's just no interest now. So we built that for you. It's very simple to get that set up. If you'd like to request it, please email our help desk and we'll get that going for you. The second campaign that we have is your prospecting campaign. It's the Worry Doll Letter campaign. And this is hot off the presses. This was available on Friday afternoon. So if you want to start doing some prospecting, you have this letter, this lumpy mail letter, and it works very similar, just like the aspirin campaign does. We have a widget for the campaign, so you can keep track of the people who are on deck that need to be sent the letter. You have all of the 3 phone call follow-ups for the week, your LinkedIn connection, and your exit reasons and metrics for the campaign. So just one place that will help you manage these mailings as they're going out each week. So that's the second campaign that we have. We're working on another campaign this week. It is a remote access checklist campaign. So hopefully that will be done by the end of this week as well. And we'll just keep creating campaigns, take a look at this list and, work one at a time, get one launched and keep going. There's plenty here for you to keep you busy and keep you marketing. Does anybody have any questions for me today about Infusionsoft? Do you need any help? Okay, our team, our help desk. Yes.
I have a question on what is, I guess, too much to email. Because we kind of made a decision. We're sending out the cybersecurity tips, and then we're was going to do the 1 email per week with one of the blog post teasers to the main article, because we're also sending out the newsletter. But what is too many? And it's the same list of people that we're emailing to. What is too much? Or is that all personal, like personal opinions by company?
Yeah, that's more personal. I mean, too much to you is too much to me.
Right.
But then to me, too much from Technology Marketing Toolkit is different to too much from Kaseya, for example.
Correct.
So
right.
it's really what I'm interested in. How much permission did I give? And how useful is that content currently to me? Okay, everything you do in sales and marketing more so than anything is you are selling them on the next step, which is opening or giving, they're buying, you're buying time from them by giving them content. So is that content worth their time? Is it going to help them in any way at all? Okay. And the difference at the moment for a lot of people, we find it hard, but I read stuff on Facebook where people are climbing the walls because they're bored and they're binging on Netflix. I don't get time. I mean, I have not seen TV for weeks. I'm lucky if I can get, you know, below a 14, 15-hour day. So, you know, those people are screaming for things to do and read. So the emails, they probably can't get enough. They're probably reading every last spam email that's coming out as well. So it's all different. It's all subjective. And until they click unsubscribe, then I wouldn't
Like
bother.
we're trying to say, like I did an email campaign as well for a work from home download, you know, the cybersecurity tips, trying to get the webinar, you know, tease out as well. I just don't know what is too much. I didn't want to
Norm, so I can tell you what we do normally in Technology Marketing Toolkit. We all confer with each other. So if I was going to send an email out to accelerators, I would go to Jeanette and Allison, I would go to Mike Stadola, and I would go to Barry. And has anyone sent in an email out to my accelerators today or tomorrow, whenever it's planned? Okay, so they only get one thing at a time. At the moment, that's gone out the window. We are sending as much information as possible to everybody so that you get as much information as we can give you, okay? So these times are also different. So if you've got a lot of relevant information, work from home, cybersecurity, all those things, you need to be sending them out, okay? And let them work it out for themselves. Yeah.
Okay.
Cora, the other thing I was going to say is we broke our list into categories, basically, and in our footer on our emails, there's a description. They can go in and manage the categories of emails they want to receive. So if they're getting flooded but still want some of the info, they can still get the security tips, but not the, you know, remote work or whatever category.
Was that through Infusionsoft, Brian?
No, I'm using Zoho right now. I've been planning on switching over to Infusionsoft, but for now, Zoho's been working for us.
So Jeanette, does that work in Zoho? I mean,
Infusionsoft, we can work that out. Yes.
Okay. Because I've seen that too, where like I'll get like over inundated with emails, and I'll go to unsubscribe, but they do give me the options. Like, yeah, I do want the weekly newsletter, you know, but I don't want all this stuff every day. You know?
Instead of unsubscribing, they can manage their subscription. Work with, schedule a call, a one-on-one with Kyle at the help desk.
Okay.
And he can help you get that going.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Is there a chance you could record that instead so we can all see it?
Do you like a training resource for that?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
That'd be great.
All right.
There you go. There's your webinar for next week, Jeanette.
Yep. Just keep me busy. Keep me working.
I would like to implement that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to build a form. That's the only thing. You know, a form that they can create. But most of the campaigns do have that unsubscribe from the campaign, but there isn't a manage my stuff type one, which Jeanette can help you with that. But cool.
A quick question, if we still have time for questions.
Yeah.
If I wanted to do advertisements, say Facebook or whatever, to specifically target my market, you know, more publicly, how do I feed those leads back into the system? Like, is there a way that I could create a form that's automatically going to populate into Infusionsoft, and how might I go about doing that?
So if you were sending, and I'll use the aspirin campaign as an example. So if you've got a list of people that you've sent the aspirin campaign to, you can upload that list to your Facebook ad for targeted ads, and then you would drive.
I want to do the opposite. I'm going after a new market, one that I don't have a lot of relationships with. So I want to put like some free videos and stuff up there where I'm teaching people about different things, and I want to give them an opportunity to opt in to more free videos, more tech tips, more whatever. And as they opt in, I want to push them into Infusionsoft. Is there like a, 1 or 2 step process other than me collecting the data somewhere else and then reorganizing it and importing it into Infusionsoft?
The short answer is yes. That's what 90% of our campaigns do. That's why you replace the form. So that form that Jeanette showed you earlier on with the blog, for example, you would replace the standard vertical action form with the Infusionsoft form, give it to the web developers, and they put it on there. So actually, when you fill in that form and hit submit, it's posting that information into Infusionsoft, and then you can have Infusionsoft do things on submission of a form. For example, apply these 3 tags, which gets them the drip marketing, gets them the newsletter, and the cybersecurity tips, for it, just as an example. So the short answer is yes. The longer answer is probably work with Kyle to come up with what you need for your particular scenario.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Jeanette?
Yes.
A question. When somebody downloads from an email blast and I get a submission, does that automatically go into Infusionsoft somewhere, or do I need to do something with that?
Yes, it will automatically go into Infusionsoft. So so clarify the question just a little bit more for me.
So I had some people download an action pack from an email campaign, and it comes to my email when I get a submission for now. So is that person? I didn't look yet to go to check them out. Are they in Infusionsoft?
Are they filling out a web form or clicking a link in the email that takes them to a web form?
They're filling out a web form in order to download the action pack.
Okay. If the web form.
Go ahead, we were going to ask the same question.
Yeah. If the web form is connected to Infusionsoft, then yes.
I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I did the email blast through Infusionsoft, but the web form is from Vertical Action.
No, you've got to replace the forms on the website, and I'll show you when we do the drip marketing in a second. Some of those things you've got to replace the forms. You can work with your Sherpa or the help desk, but it's very quick and easy to do that as well. You go into your campaign and there's a web form, and you copy the HTML code and you send that to your Vertical Action, and they'll replace it and style it for you. And now that's an Infusionsoft form. As I said, when you type in that information, it posts it directly into Infusionsoft rather than sending you the email. Yeah. And then you can automate a whole load of things.
All right. I just created a landing page myself, or, told Vertical Action here, I need a landing page, use this, and give me a form with name and email.
So you can create a form. You could work with Kyle to create the Infusionsoft form to replace your form, and it will do it all for you.
All right. So I'm kind of doing it wrong then. I have to go to Kyle first for then. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Kyle can create just a very basic campaign that contains that web form. And if you wanted to apply any tags, if they fill out the form, he can help you do that. Yeah.
Okay.
I got to talk to Kyle about
this,
huh? Yep.
Okay.
Get on Kyle's calendar.
Put it on the list.
Okay.
All right.
Great. Okay. Any other questions from our Infusionsoft members? Okay. Let us know if you need anything. We're here for you. Infusionsoft at Technology Marketing Toolkit. Just let us know what you need, and we'll get you that help.
I do have a quick question real quick on executing on the emergency work from home campaign. Would you guys recommend sending that, just like sending the landing page to like our Chamber of Commerce and offering them to share that with the chamber? Like, how do you recommend sending that information out, or is it just an email out to our prospect list?
Go ahead, Mark.
I don't know who was going to answer then. I was waiting because you looked like you were going to answer.
Well, one thing the work from home consult offer is part of the blog post. So if you're sending out the blog post, it's integrated with that. We also have a landing page for that campaign that you could share. And I don't, Mark, if you have any strategies about that.
I do.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
So what I would normally do, anything you're doing with drip marketing that you're sending out those things, especially if it's to prospects, etc. I would also, so like the blog post, you know, and you send the email to drive them to read the blog post on the web page. I would do a version to go on Facebook and LinkedIn as well to drive them back to that web page. So I would create something to send to the chamber, okay, and say, hey, do you mind sending this out? They are unlikely to give you their list,
right,
and say, yeah, here you go. But you can say, look, I did this. Here's a great piece of resource. Send that out. Now, you do that not just with those guys. You do that with the
Everybody.
everybody. Yeah, I'm trying to think who.
Yes.
Local journalists. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Local journalists as well.
Right, I'm hearing my day.
okay, thanks.
So I just wanted to mention that this is what we actually did that last week with the Chamber of Commerce. We created a work from home action pack. We did the email itself was offering the community a free help to set up their remote access, donating the endpoints, which we got from other community PMT members. So that's what went out actually this weekend. And the downloads were from people downloading the action pack that I created, which I promised to post today after this call. It was the Chamber of Commerce. To answer your question, Gary, it was Gary, I think. No, Mark, was we called the chamber and we were able to, the one particular chamber said, yes, absolutely, we'll take it. And, you know, another marketing B&I type of group said, yes, you know, they're doing it. So to answer that.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Cool. Any more questions?
Okay.
On the you talked earlier about the, I think it's the page that you were on before this one. If you could just go back one page, I didn't catch like where you got to that page.
Okay, so everything is, you can find through the COVID-19 survival resources page.
Yep,
if you
I'm there.
click on the resources tab and then go to this map Infusionsoft resource, all of the campaigns that we have links here. So if you're looking for the work from home console.
Yeah, this is the page that I was looking for. Thanks.
Okay, yep. And we keep adding to this as we have new campaigns. So this, and then we also post on the queue as well when the campaigns are ready. Okay. Well,
any more questions for Jeanette?
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Perfect.
Let
Thank
us
you,
know if
Jeanette.
you need anything.
Cool. Okay, so after I confused myself and therefore everybody else, because I wasn't paying attention to the queue properly, this week's call, and we're only on week 7, not week 8. See,
well, it's week 8. It's week 8 because we had that Q&A week.
Yeah, but that's where I was getting
for
confused.
the
So I do apologize as well, Dan, because we're going to do the sales team stuff. Now, you should have watched the did it for the homework, but never mind. We got there in the end, but we are going to be covering the sales team. So that was my fault for throwing you off. Next week is the drip marketing. So other than Dan, who didn't, did everybody else watch do the homework for the appointment generating miracle sessions 1 and 2? Yeah. So now is the time to get marketing help. Okay, part-time marketing help, as I was saying before, double down. So you know you can. I used to say stay-at-home moms, but you know anybody that needs part-time work now will be great. There's obviously a few people being laid off who had great work ethic, etc. So you can look for those people. I I would use those resources in there, and also, you know, usually make sure that they've got scorecards. Make sure you've trained them. So you have to have checklists still for everything you do. You can't do, you know, I see so many people abdicate instead of delegate. They literally hire somebody, especially when it's in the non-tech role. Everybody in the tech role, you spend hours, this is how we do this, this is how we do that. But as soon as it comes to administration, marketing assistant, sales, or whatever, it's there's your desk, there's the computer, there's your dashboard login, go and learn the toolkit and get marketing. And I'll see you sometime soon if you've got any questions. And total abdication, you need to have processes. You need to be driving the strategy. You need to be saying what needs to be done, how many appointments, how many quotas. You need to be driving all that. And they're doing the implementation for you, but they need that process, that checklist, that everything and the training that you can give them. So it is a great idea. It was my first hire that launched my first company. It wasn't my first hire. I hired techs and all sorts and fired them and everything else. But it was my first proper hire. It was a part-time marketing assistant when I had my MSP that really grew my company, that set the momentum in place, because I was no longer the bottleneck, the holdup, going off on tech work and everything else. And that's what got my company going. When I started this company, my software development company, that was the first hire I made. Okay, that was straight out the door, was the marketing assistant, was the first person that I hired in my company. Because I know that's how important marketing is to grow in a company. I could do the sales, I could do the tech, I could do all the extra hours, but most of you, like me, the marketing part of it, the implementation, the licking the envelopes and doing all the hand addressing, it didn't appeal to me. And I was going to be the bottleneck because I was having to jump on doing other tech type work and sales type work. So I needed to ensure that that marketing never stopped. Okay. It's a constant engine. So you need somebody on that team to be doing that as well. So we're going to talk about three groups of your sales team. We're going to spend most of it on the inside sales appointment setters, which Rich is going to cover in a second. And then we are going to talk a little bit about account managers and outside sales people as well. But Rich, I am going to hand over to you if you've got your PowerPoint ready to go.
And unmuted. Yes.
And unmuted.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. As you see, I'm still working from my remote office. It's a little warm and cozy down here, but still managed to get work done. So I want to talk to you just a little bit. It'll probably take about 12 to 15 minutes about inside sales, and then we'll have some time for questions. So I'm going to start it by sharing my screen. And no idea what's up there, but I'll quickly get what I need up there.
I'm on the Zoom page.
There you go.
Now I'm on the PowerPoint page. We're on the right page.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So some of you know, before I joined Robin, I was marketing director for Easy Solution in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where I still live and work from. And one of the things that we did was we worked really hard to try to figure out this inside sales piece. And we worked so hard that we failed at least 8 times in getting it right. Finally got it right. And that inside sales team was in place until a couple of months ago when Tom made some overall changes in the company. But Tom had them for almost 7 years, the 2 that they finally had. So I'm just going to share with you a little bit about what we went through to get to that process. Ultimately, we made the decision that we have to do this ourselves, and that's probably the most important takeaway. I mean, I can entertain you here with some really interesting stories about some of the people we had doing inside sales. for us, including a company deep in the heart of Texas who sounded exactly like they were deep in the heart of Texas. But we're not deep in the heart of Texas. We're in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where they speak a particular kind of King's English. And so when someone calls in and says, hi, this is Bob from Easy Solution. How are things in Lancaster? Well, you know pretty well that they're not in Lancaster. So a lot of what we learned was you have to be really careful who's doing that calling. But even if you're careful and they speak acceptable English, you're still not local, and they still don't really get your company culture. And that's what the benefit of having someone local is. So needless to say, we tried 3 times, and it was sort of an expensive habit failure till we finally got around to deciding we were going to do it ourselves. So what I want to do is walk you through some of the steps in that process. We're going to start with hiring. And I believe Debbie has already posted a scorecard for inside sales on the resources. So have an accurate job description or a scorecard for inside sales. Make sure you set really clear expectations of what you're looking for. And the most clear expectation you can set for them is that they're making calls and selling appointments. They're not selling product, they're selling appointments. So 2 things we learned. Number 1 is we have to do it ourselves to be effective. And number 2, make sure they just sell the appointment. And I became aware of this somewhere in the process of going through probably 5 or 6 inside salespeople until we found the perfect 2. We had hired an inside salesperson who worked at Tech Data in Harrisburg, decided he didn't want the 45-minute commute every day. Was really good on the phone, excellent track record, 15, 18, 20% getting decision makers on the phone, having conversations, but really lousy at setting the appointment. So this was pre-VoIP, so I had to go listen. I decided to go in and listen, sat in the corner of his office and listened. It took me about 2 calls to figure out what he was doing. He was a Tech Data guy, and he knew product cold. So when he got on the phone, let's just use a hypothetical example, to talk about setting an appointment to talk about Datto. Well, if the client would say, well, I've got Carbonite, isn't that good enough? Instead of saying, and what he should have said was, that's an excellent question. That's why you need to talk to Tom. Would 2 o'clock next Wednesday be a good time? No, what he would do is he would get down in the weeds and start discussing the merits and trying to sell the customer over the phone on the merits of Datto versus Carbonite, which was not his job. His job was really to sell the appointment, okay? And when you're hiring, don't sugarcoat it. It is a grind position. There are a lot of expectations, a lot of hours, a lot of calls they have to make, but there are ways that things you can do to make it really an interesting job too. We'll talk about those a little bit later. Interviewing. It's really great that the first interview is over the phone, because you want to really pay attention to how do they sound. And when I say that, of course they need to understand grammar and talk in a way that people will understand them. But do they really sound like the person that you want representing your company when they pick up that telephone? So you have to be comfortable with the way they sound and the way they represent your company. Then you do an in-person interview. Well, this is pretty standard for almost any kind of interviews. How do they look? Are they neat in appearance? Do they arrive on time? Are they prepared? Now that's a big one. For example, if you would sit down with Robin to have an interview, personal interview, the question that would end the interview very quickly would be, so Robin, tell me about TMT. No, they need to come into the interview fully vetted about who you are. It's not your job to inform them. They need to do a little research and figure out who you are. Do they have good eye contact? Can you incorporate some role playing into the face-to-face interview? And can they follow a script? So put them on the spot, give them a script, and do a little bit of role playing while you're there. It's a good way to see what's up. How do they handle your questions? Can they think on their feet? Sometimes I would throw a question in from left field that was totally unrelated, just to see if they could respond on their feet. And then how do they leave? Just as important as how they came into the interview is how do they leave? Did they ask you what is the next step? Did they show initiative? And I'll use George as an example, who was the last telemarketer that we hired. George was closing Tom and I from the minute he walked into the interview. He said, well, you know, this sounds like a really good thing. I think I could do a good job. It interests me. Could I come in Monday and see what it's like? So he was closing us from the time he walked in the door, really. In baseball, hopefully I have some this year, you know what a forced error is. Well, there's some forced errors in setting expectations. So you need to give them the number of hours they'll be working a day, how many dials a day they're going to be expected to make, and how they'll be measured. So those are the things that need to be set up front, as well as selling the appointment. So training. So Mike Farlow has a small company in Graham, North Carolina called Comtech. And this was a testimonial that came in when we were doing call to and testimonials. The client said this, Comtech does a phenomenal job of creating the optimal customer experience. It's clear the Comtech company culture is to offer the best customer experience from start to finish. The consistency between employees shows there is a clear vision being executed throughout the entire organization. Quite honestly, it's an inspiration for our own business. I mean, wow, guys, wouldn't you like to have a client say that about you? Well, what comes through here is that their employees really understand their company culture. And that's really what the training is about, because when you finally turn that telephone over to them and a prospect over to them, like I said, you want to be 100% confident that they are going to represent you personally very well. You want that confidence that they know your culture, they know your business, and they can talk about it almost as well as you can. So you do that by spending time with the employees. You give them their scripts. I keep reminding them to sell the appointment. You listen to their calls. You coach them. Now, PC members have an opportunity to have a coaching call called Sell the Appointment, where we actually listen to scripts and provide input. That has not started up. It'll be starting up here in about the next 2 weeks, I believe. So spend time with them. Make sure they really understand your company culture. And I really can't emphasize that enough. Managing. Well, you have some decisions to make. Do you pay commission based on appointments set or appointments sat? We paid hourly only. I think for a while we paid per appointment. One of the things that we discovered was when we paid per appointment, the appointments weren't quite as good because they were trying to rack up the number. So we went to hourly. I know Mark pays on both appointments that get booked, and appointments that get sat. Mark, do you want to talk about that just a little bit? Why you went to that method?
Yeah, we went to that one because obviously the appointment, sitting the appointment is the most important. I can't close a deal if I'm not on the appointment. No matter how many they book, I've got to actually be there on that appointment. And so we split the bonus. We paid hourly like Rich as well. And I've been back and forth with my my manager of the appointment setters over whether we should bonus them or not, because it's supposed to hit quota, but we decided in the end we would still do that as a bonus because that's what I want. It is on quality appointments, so they have to be correct, qualified people. And we explained to them why somebody isn't, but I haven't had to have that conversation for a long time. But I need to have somebody to sit in front of as a sales guy. So I give them half the bonus for setting the appointment and the other half when we set the appointment, because their job doesn't finish at setting the appointment. They've then got to call and make sure that that person's going to be available, remind them to be there, the decision maker's got to be there, You know, remind them to read the content of the shock and awe box, etc. So there's still a lot of prep work to do that. We do the same with webinars and seminars, although it's a lower fee. I pay $25 to sit the appointment, and then a further $25 to set that. Sorry, $25 to set it, $25 to sit it, and then with the webinars, we pay $10 for registration and $10 when they attend, because again, they still got follow-up calls to get people, because it's all about people showing up in front of me, not just getting people to register or book appointments. So that's why we do it our way.
Okay, yeah, then that's good. That's a good explanation. We paid, I think, and this was 7-8 years ago. We paid in the neighborhood of $18 to $20 an hour, which was a very good wage. But we got good production. You know, now admittedly, these were both single guys without much of a social life, but it was still a good wage for them. So in the process, you're going to need a real CRM. You're going to need lists to scrub, leads to call, and marketing campaigns going out the door. And if they're not always busy doing marketing campaigns, there are always lots of follow-up calls to make on list scrubbing or webinars or whatever you have going on, seminars. Now, the other thing I would point out is if you have a sales team, this is really a sales and inside marketing team effort. We had weekly meetings Monday morning with the sales team, the outside sales team, and the inside sales team. Now, those of you who've had a lot of experience with salespeople know that the first excuse a salesperson will come up with when something doesn't go well is it was a bad appointment. I mean, I could ask you to raise your hands. I'm sure I'd get a half dozen hands raised that you've heard that. So one of the things we did in our Monday morning meetings was we had the salespeople review each appointment from the previous week that was set for them. And after they sat it, they came back with feedback. Well, I would say the first couple of weeks we had that meeting, we had some people, you know, retreat to, well, it was a bad appointment. Well, it's more difficult to say that when you're sitting across the table from the team who set the appointment for you. And they were sincerely interested in making it a good appointment. And they didn't have a lot of patience with at least one salesperson who was always retreating till it was a bad appointment. And I would say after about 2 or 3 weeks, that conversation sort of disappeared because it became a really an effort between the two groups, you know, to work out what made good appointments. The other thing is, of course, you know, early Monday mornings and later Friday afternoons are not the best time to get people on the phones, although you still can get the odd person on the phone. So oftentimes we would debrief on a Saturday or Friday afternoon, and that involved getting together socially down in the conference room or the kitchen, you know, having some food and just sitting around talking. So that was important too. So we had 2 meetings with that particular staff in addition to the one-on-ones. Measuring. So it's important to set goals for you to measure this group. How many dials per day do you want to measure? How many appointments do you want to set per week? Robin suggests 100 plus calls a day. More than that if you're ticking off a cold list on Turbo Dial. We averaged 60 to 70 calls per day. That was our requirement. You need to have a you need to have a process in place for tracking calls, the callbacks, and the follow-ups. That would be your CRM. And then your campaign is only as successful as your ability to follow up. If you're not going to follow up, don't do the campaign. And remember, their goal is to set appointments, not make a sale. So really monitor their progress and share metrics. Now, I have some basic metrics here that I used, I will say back in the day, and this happens to be George. So if you notice over here in January, whoops, sorry. If you notice over here in January, he worked 96 hours. Now the normal, and George was having some health issues those couple of months, but the normal working month is somewhere between, let's think 140 something and 170, depending on how many days are in the month and where Sundays fall. But anyway, he worked 96 hours. And so in that month, he called made 625 dials to prospects. If you look over to the second green column, that was 52 per day. He was a little bit under the goal at that time. Out of those 625, though, he talked to 96 decision makers. If you look at the second yellow column, that's 15%. That's a good average. In fact, I checked it with Robin back in the day, and that was where her sales team was. Now, her sales team has moved up a little bit with those percentages. But out of those 96, he set 12 appointments. And that's a 12% rate of setting appointments, which is a good rate. It would be nice if it's around 15%, and some months he had it, but his average here, as you see at the bottom of the column, was 12.2%. Now, the interesting thing was March, he came back full time, and I know we gave him some cold lists to call. So, you know, out of 1,200, he talked to 162. If you look over here, it's 13%. So he still did pretty well in getting through the decision maker, because that's a real skill that some telemarketers have. In this case, he only set 14 appointments, which was only 8.6%, but that was due probably to a lot of cold calling in that process. On the dashboard, and I think it's in with the new Aspirin campaign, is a spreadsheet that we created. The one thing that we added to this one is how many appointments were set and how many appointments were set. If there's a big discrepancy here, say it's 12 and 6, then you need to go back and look what's happening on the phone. Because if the appointments are falling off, there's something wrong in your process. And I don't have the magic number for that. I'm not too concerned even when you only set 4 appointments that 3 sat. But if this number gets really large, it's worth taking a look at. It's one of those signs that there's something that you need to check. And I borrowed these from Robin about how to fail and waste a lot of time and money with hiring an outside salesperson. She said, if you outsource it without heavy involvement, it won't work. If you have unreasonable expectations for results, if you hire the wrong person, give them 0 coaching, training, and support and management, it won't work. Forcing your marketing admin to make the calls. And I'm going to pause on that one just a minute. A good marketing admin is not necessarily a good person to make phone calls. The skill sets tend to be different. So try to find someone to take that burden from your marketing admin. The other one is to give up before you figure out how to make it work. We didn't give up, we figured out how to make it work, but it took work to get there. And then the variable that affects appointment setting results is number one, the use of the list. If inside sales are having to clean as they call, the dials and appointments will be lower. So Robin's advice and my advice and Mark's advice, if you find a really good inside sales appointment setter, hire a sharp admin to do the list cleaning part-time for $10, $12 an hour, or you could check with Barry, who has a list cleaning service, done for you list cleaning service. All right, I'm going to move on to the last one here. Firing is always hard. Having worked in retail for a number of years, I fired a few people. I've hired quite a few more than I ever fired, but you always remember those people you fire. So 2 questions, or really 1 question: have you held up your end of the bargain in time and tools? Did you give them your time, attention, your best effort? Have you worked with them? Did you give them clear goals, targets, scripts, and a good understanding of your USP? And I would add culture here. And then finally, training, technology, do they have that? And then there's 2 more that I added here. Are they coachable? And in my experience with coaching people, there are 2 types of people. There are people who are open to new approaches and execute on them. There are people who say they're open to new approaches and then use the passive aggressive stance and go back into their hidey hole. So you're going to have one or the other of those. And the negativity. I used to say this spreads like a virus. I'm not going to use that word anymore, but it spreads by context. So you need to protect your culture. So rule of thumb is fire sooner rather than later, put the new hire on a short leash, and you'll know within 2 to 3 weeks. And Mark, I'd like you to interject here just a bit about how you hire people without paying them.
Yeah, and everybody likes to see how can I hire somebody without paying them. I do that 100% in my company. Every person from the president down in my company was hired without pay. We are very upfront about that. We're upfront in the job ads. We're upfront in the interview process. It's even in the employment contract itself to say that they are on an unpaid internship until they pass our exams. Now, the converse side of that is I don't sell their services. They don't touch my clients. They don't go anywhere near my clients. All they are doing is they are doing training and they are doing exams, both oral exams and written exams on our culture, on our processes, and then how they do their particular job in their particular department. So at the end of that, I will pay them a huge signing on bonus when they've got through all that, and they have regular exams. So it's not like it's 3 weeks and then they take an exam and, oh, by the way, you're useless. It's regular all the way through. They might take 3, 4, 5, 6 exams during that 3-week period. And so when they do come through the other end, they've proven themselves, they can do the job. So the good thing is the day that they pass and I start paying them, I pay them that sign-on bonus for pretty much the time they've done. I pay them above average rates as well, because once they've gone through all that, they were prepared to invest their time and their resources in my company. And so I am prepared to fight to the death to keep them from now on, because they've gone through all this process, all this trouble. They are also able to deliver about 80% of the services our clients need on day one I start paying them. Okay, so they go through all that. I pay them higher than market wages. I give them a signing on bonus, etc. I look after them. I do everything in my power to make sure that I keep these people for forever a day. Even in times like this now, I am working harder than ever to make sure we have the income coming in so they are still on higher than market rates. I am not asking them to take a pay cut or anything at this time, because I need them. They've invested in us. So what we do is we sit down and we start reinvesting in the company. They're the ones that are coming up with the ideas of what we should be doing over the next few weeks, how we could get extra revenue, how we could do this, how we can improve on that. So I get a great bunch of people working for me. Now I get very few applicants, obviously, because not a lot of people want to do that, but there are people out there that do want to do this, and every level. So, you know, my team leaders, my developers, a couple of my developers took 8 weeks before they passed all our exams and they started getting paid. Now, they were really, and they failed some of them, and they asked to come back and start again to go through it all and keep going so they came out the other end. Now, some people drop out, but these people are passionate. They meet our company culture. They meet our purpose. They meet our mission. And so they're prepared to invest their time and effort into doing that. Like I said, it's not for everyone, but these are not 9-to-5 people. We have a specific mission, a purpose, and I want a certain kind of person, and this helps weed them out and filter them out, and I get the best people that I need for that. So it works really well for me, from telemarketers all the way through to developers and beyond.
Okay, thanks, Mark. So now's the time for questions. If you have questions for Mark or I about anything that I talked about, please ask them.
Question for Mark. Whenever you're doing these tests, like you use the example of a developer, what kind of tests would you give them? Like, you know, you give them a wireframe and say, go build this, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of different things. So first of all, I've recorded a whole load of training videos, myself and now some of my developers and the team leaders, etc. But I recorded all the company culture stuff. So when somebody comes into my company, because I'm doing all this consulting, etc., I'm on here, they might have started today. I haven't, you know, I started at 7:30, been on calls back to back. So I might not be able to get to them till later today. I always make sure I get with them on the first day, but they're not waiting for me. They've got all these videos. So think of a plural site type deal where they've got all these little videos. I break them down into 10, 15-minute videos as well. So I can always, if I need to update something or change something, I've only got to re-record a 10-minute video, not another hour and a half video. So we've got a whole area of that. Then they go into their different roles and go through those things. And we do have, we have a number of exams, both written and practical and sort of oral. And so we've got the Word documents with those multiple choice, but in terms of the developers, yeah, they have a timed exam. Their final exam in my developers, they have to build an application based on all the principles, all the stack that we do, because we've got processes and automation and everything else that we've designed and developed. So it's very unique to work for us and how we do things. They have to know all this stuff. And so they have to build an application, but it is timed through various stages as well. Okay, so I give them the base foundation project that we would work, that we normally start one of our apps with. And then they have a number of different functions to build, building on it just like you know, one of our normal apps. And they have to, because of our source control, they have to check it in and commit it into an area, you know, as they do each thing. And those are time stamped. So again, I'm looking at their code. We're reviewing their code. I'm not, my developer team are doing that now, but we're reviewing their code to make sure it meets our standards. We're reviewing the time to make sure they're doing it in the time that's been allocated for each individual function and task, so we know what their productivity is going to be for when they come to do it for real.
Okay.
Thanks.
Other questions?
One thing I was going to say, one thing I wanted to sort of re-emphasize from Rich's PowerPoint earlier on was the scorecards. Everybody's got a number. My telemarketers average about 125 dials per day, okay? And in that appointment generating miracle, you would have seen the metric spreadsheet, which is how many times they talk to the decision maker, how many voicemails, how many dials, etc. Even though my telemarketers work remotely, and I can monitor and pull that information through our phone system, etc. Excuse me. I still make them send this Word document in every day at the end of the day for two reasons. If they're expected to dial 125 dials a day at least and hit a certain number of decision makers and appointments, set a certain number of appointments, they need to keep track of that. After about 20 calls, 20 dials, they've lost track of that. So they don't know if they're on track or not. Therefore, by checking those off one at a time, they're keeping an eye on their numbers as well. Plus, it also, by having to send that in to me, they're very aware that I am monitoring and reporting on this, rather than me just saying, hey, I can pull these things whenever I like out of my system. They are being proactive and having to give it to me every day, so they know I'm reporting on those numbers and make sure they keep up with those numbers. Yeah. And then one other thing, where Rich was saying earlier on about the quality. Like I said, I pay on quality appointments, SAT. It's set and SAT. And the reason we get a quality appointment is, as Rich was saying, the list builders are a different team to my telemarketers. So the list builders are the people that are getting a quality qualified list for my telemarketers to go and set those appointments. So again, when we have our sales meetings, we have all three groups. We have the list builders, the appointment setters, and the sales team talking about that whole sales and marketing process and the quality of the appointments, how many appointments we got, etc. Because I've got three independent groups working those three different systems on there. So there's sort of a form of QA in there as well.
And Debbie will have the slide deck, if not already, posted to resources.
Yeah, I thought I had posted it, so now I'm checking because I'm not seeing it, but I had enabled it, so I'll go back and check.
Okay.
Any more questions on telemarketers, appointment setters?
I got a question about lists.
Sorry?
I said, this is maybe a little off topic, certainly related, but about lists.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, we're just really getting started. So I'm kind of behind on a lot of the prerequisite stuff for where a lot of other people are right now. And I just sent a pretty small list of about 250 over to the do it for you folks to do the list cleaning. But looking at the list and the criteria that I look for my target market, I don't have a lot of room left in list. So I think I sent over 250, and I maybe have another 150 in the whole list. What next?
Where are you getting those from?
This one I got from Reference USA.
Okay.
And I tried to sort of clean the list by looking at the criteria and checking off some things, making sure, for instance, that there was that there was at least a practice manager or something like that already listed. So I think I got 600 and change total, but it's like, where do I go now? When I'm looking at the numbers that you guys are talking about, I'm thinking, man, I'm going to run out of lists in about 14 days.
Well, you've got to, there's a couple, first of all, you've got to be able to sort of expand that list after a while. So, just because you can't just take the easy way out, which is where you started, which is getting all those ones as the practice managers. There was a whole load of people on that list that just didn't happen to have the practice managers, but they had somebody else on the list. So A, you could start going to those with a slightly different message, or B, you could hire somebody, a marketing assistant, not a telemarketer. As Rich pointed out, the two are totally different, but you can have somebody go through that list, go through the websites or whatever, and try and find the practice manager for those ones. Then you've got to start looking at, do I want to go to slightly larger size companies, or do I want to expand my range after this? Yeah. Or do I want to then go for what we talked about, target market? So you should be going by SIC codes, etc. as well. Do I want to expand a couple of SIC codes and a little bit of geography by another maybe 10 miles? Okay, and then once you've got that target market built up and you start these processes and everything built up for that target market, then you can look at that expansion of the target market. We did say in the beginning, this isn't the forever and a day. This was to get you going and the processes and the SOPs, get these telemarketers, booking appointments, etc. Then you can start looking at going wider or deeper, a parallel target market, or further afield after that, because it's copying and a little bit of replacement there.
Where do you think I would need to be? My concern would be that if I don't have enough of a list and I go out and try to hire somebody, that there's just not enough list for them to chew on to keep them busy or keep them hired. So any suggestions on how big does my list need to be to support a single telemarketer and maybe an assistant that's part-time?
It's not so much that, because you can flex the hours based on their output. It's how many clients do you want. Your list is how many clients do you want.
Okay.
How many clients? How many new clients per month? What's your sales closing rate, and what's your marketing? And there's a whole load of metrics that we're going to cover in week 10 or 11. But there's a whole load of things that answer that question rather than how do I keep my employees busy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I feel like I'm behind, but we're not there yet anyway. So I feel a little.
No, we're not there yet on that one. And then another way to build your list is JV partners. Yeah, because they've already got those people.
I'm finding that to be a little bit difficult under the current situation, but I'm working on it.
Well, here's an idea for the current situation, especially if you're in some sort of medical, because it's practice manager. Excuse me. So everybody has an association. Every different industry has an association. So be on those associations, and now more than ever, is just offer advice. Yeah. How to set your practice up to work from home, how to stay safe in your practice, all these different things, all these resources we've given you, you can offer, how to do Zoom, how to do this, how to, you know, all those different things, you can help them get going. At the moment, do it for goodwill and building credibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They're
Thank
ideal
you.
JV partners, those people.
Yep. All right. Thanks.
Erin's asking, are there scripts available to give your appointment setters? Yeah, they should have been in the aspirin campaign.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Any more questions on telemarketing? I am quickly going to cover the other two components of the sales team. So the first one is the account manager. Who has a dedicated account manager here? And if you don't put your hand up, that go. So Emily's got a dedicated account manager. Yeah, well, yeah, you guys are quite a large company, so yeah, they would.
We have 3.
Everybody has an account manager, just so you should have all put your hands up, because you are that person if you didn't put the hand up, okay? You're outside sales, you're probably inside sales, and you're account manager at the moment. So to think in future, moving forward, you got to start looking at these different roles. So once you start hiring that inside sales appointment setter, the next sales role I would look at is the account manager role rather than outside sales, okay? Because to be honest with you, nobody is better than the owner, CEO at doing sales, outside sales, okay? It's your company, it's your baby. You've been doing it all this time. You're probably the best at it for now. So what you don't want to be doing is wasting that skill set on account manager, current clients. Now, at the moment, you've got to do it, okay? But they're two different types of people. An outside salesperson is the hunter. They go in, they love the thrill of going out, chasing somebody and closing that deal. After that, they really don't want to do anything with it at all. They want to hand it over to somebody and say, I've closed it. You onboard them, you deal with it, you do everything, I'm going to get to my next one. That's what they like to do. So the account manager, though, is the person that loves building relationships, loves keeping these things going, loves meeting with companies, etc. But at the same time, they've still got to keep those clients staying with you, renewing their contracts, upselling them, etc., and keeping them happy. So they're still a salesperson. Okay. So a normal, to give you a rule of thumb, a normal account manager would have a quota to increase sales with current clients by 20% year upon year. Okay, so if you're doing $1 million, if you did $1 million last year, his goal should be to get you to 1.2 million. Yeah, 20% of increase of what you did last year. Okay. Now, to do that, if you lost a $200,000 account, that means he's got to go out and find 400,000 in new business. He's got to get 400,000 from your remaining existing clients, okay? Because his job was to keep your 1 million going, renewing, and then upselling these people to get to 1.2 million. So if he didn't do part of his job and lost a client, then he's still got to get to his 1.2 million. Yeah. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. And then the other part of this is that 20%. So when you do these QBRs and cross-sell emails every quarter, you should be looking at increasing your revenue, your MRR and your project revenue by 5% every quarter. That's not across the board, so it's not every company by 5%. But if you're doing 100K in MRR at the moment, then every quarter, that next quarter, you should be doing 105K. Okay, 5%. That gets you 20% at the end of the year. Okay. Now that gives you a different outlook, because if I'm suddenly doing QBRs at the moment, if you're doing QBRs, you probably say, hey, I go meet my clients and hopefully they may buy something. Whereas if I say you've got to get 5% increase with your current clients, you've got to get an extra 5K this quarter from QBRs, you start going, well, I'll speak to those 10 clients. I'll speak to those 3 about that, those 4 about that, those 3 about that. I'll probably sell him on that, and him on that. So you're going in with a goal in mind and a scorecard and a sales process in mind. Yeah. And then, as I said, the outside salesperson, you are probably the best for that at the beginning. So you would hand off the account management to somebody else while you still go out doing that outside sales and getting new sales until you get to the stage where you really need help there. And so you bring on an experienced outside salesperson to do that and help you grow the company. But even then, you would possibly still go on some of the closing larger deals. So Robert Herjavec, for example, he's got a huge team. About 40% of his company is sales guys. But he's still on the larger strategic clients. Although the sales guy do all the initial stuff, he goes on that final call to close the deal because of his status, his celebrity, and being the CEO. And so you'll probably need to do some of that as well. Any questions on any of the sales side at all? Remember, there's 3 different roles. And at the moment, you're probably wearing 3 different hats. Jim, 5 hats. Gary's had 3 while we've been on this call, at least. So Gary's the hat man. Okay, so just coming up to the end of the call, and we'll get back. I'll get it right now because I know which week we're on again. So your homework for next week, which is week 8, is we are going to cover drip marketing next week. So please watch the deep dive and then post your drip marketing campaigns that you're currently doing or about to start. And I expect to see a lot on here given the current crisis, more than we normally have. So I want to see that everybody should be doing at least 1 form or 2 forms of drip marketing, preferably more. Okay, so watch those and get that done. Also, get your post-rapid details survey to your Sherpa, and there's a link in the queue there in that queue post to get that to your Sherpa as well.
Hey, Mark, should we give everyone till Monday for the drip marketing or keep it till Friday?
Oh, Monday's fine.
Okay, I'll edit it. See,
yeah,
I'm working
Monday's
out.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, given what's going on at the moment, Monday is fine for the drip marketing, to post all that. Make sure you do watch the video, do your homework, please. I was going to say one more thing. Oh, yeah. If anybody has any problems with anything at all, please remember you've got your one-on-one coaching calls under the Accelerators Club menu. You've got one-on-one coaching calls. Also, reach out. You're all in your groups except for Dee and Co. I need you to get me that information as soon as possible so I can get you into a group this week and take advantage of your group and your coaches and get help from those guys and girls as well. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, girls.